hello, howdy, hi, welcome. Come on in. It's nice to see that some of you are already excited. That's good. We're gonna give us all a little bit of a moment for everyone to trickle on in. But yeah, welcome, howdy, hello, hi. I will also say this now, and I want to make sure that everyone kind of keeps all this in check as we proceed for everyone who trickles in. So, we're doing critiques today. A huge round of applause to everyone who opted to submit something for critiques. Critiques can be scary, and it's always right off the bat a brave thing to jump into that. And so, no matter what, I am proud of you for even participating. That shows that you are ready and willing to learn and grow, and that is one of the most important things when being an artist. Something important I want to make sure everyone knows is that I know that sometimes we like to, we like to play. We like to have these funny little teasings sometimes. We like to, critique time is not the time for that. We can be sassy little snarks more often than not, but critiques is not the time for sassy little remarks. Even if you're not trying to be mean, critique time is for being just honest and nice. So save the snark for, when I'm bombing a video game, So yeah, second thing, I'll be doing the critiquing, but I also expect all of you to be polite. I don't want to see anybody shitting on somebody else's art. I do expect you all to be kind, and you're all generally pretty dang kind anyway. I'm fretting over nothing, but I don't want anyone to get their feelings hurt. I never ever do. So yeah, those are kind of the big, you can get a sticker. Bit bummed you didn't have time to make any art. You could have uploaded, like, an already finished piece. You didn't need to make a new thing. It's so okay. Maybe, sometime down the line we'll do this again. You all seemed very excited about this. So, for something that I kind of just, off the cuff decided, hey, that might be a neat idea. So, maybe we can do this again. So don't worry if you didn't have the time to submit this time around. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I'm basically treating this as if it was, like, I'm a teacher, and I told my class, draw something for me, for us to all critique, and now here we are, and we're doing that. So, I do have experience in this, in that this is how basically all of my art classes worked, when I got my degree in art. So this is also a fun way for you to prepare if theoretically you want to take any art classes in the future. But hooray, as long as everyone remembers, be polite. I don't want to see anyone being rude. But let's get started and have a grand old time. Is everyone ready? Because I am. And Serge, I hope you're the most ready because you're actually up first. Wowee! Where am I? There I am. Okay. Wowee! Wow willikers. Okay. How did we pay for enrollment? That's the, well, Hut Mutt Butt probably paid for all of you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Serge, you're up first. Congratulations. So what Serge says alongside his art is, apologies for no color. I was instructed to not put color for now, lol. Because this is also something for his actual for real teacher that he has submitted. So that's fun. And then we got a better look at the picture. Wow, it's really big. Over here, hooray. Alrighty, so this is a character reference for his character, Kiara. And so one of those is how you pronounce it. So, I am fascinated by your teacher's instruction to not add color. It's probably, I can only assume, that what your teacher is aiming for right now is seeing how you render the silhouette. And first of all, I do wish you had, let me get a pen over here. I wish you had drawn her actually facing forward and not cheating to the side a little bit. You know, she's looking forward in every other way, but her face just happens to wander, you know? So I do wish we had seen her properly facing fully towards the screen. Her silhouette is also a little thick, which is not bad, but it does and I was wondering why I noticed it, though. And the thing that I think I've clocked for you to work on is, and we're gonna look at her hips. So we've got all these lines, you know, we've got all these lines in the background showing you, designating where things ought to be when standing, you know, still. And we're gonna look at her hips, and specifically here in profile, this line here goes, it's, you know, from basically the crotch to the middle of the ass. Totally normal. But then in the back view of this same angle, same everything, now we're way at the top of her ass. When this line would have been down here, if we're following, you know, this example. And then in the front view, it's actually too high. It would have been down here, if we're following this example. So, for the most part, the torso is swell. And on a technicality, the legs are, like, consistent. You know, the knee does continually land here, but your devil will fall in these details. So be aware, your teacher might end up being a nitpick about that as well. Yeah. So, and that's the hard part about, you gave me these guidelines, you know, these lines in the background that made it easier to spot these sort of things. That's something I wouldn't have noticed, I'm sure, normally. Don't be afraid. The guidelines exist for a reason. And so for something like this, if you're gonna have these guidelines in the background, you need to really follow them. You need to be a real stickler for them. Otherwise, omit them. And I do suggest, allow yourself to get comfortable drawing a character consistently without those guidelines. Because you're not going to have all these, like, when you're making a manga, you're not going to have all these in the background. This does not accommodate for different angles, different perspectives. So for a reference sheet, this is swell. And I advise you and you're no stranger to art, you know? It's the first time you've ever used guidelines. I shall get better. And that is super okay. I hate these sorts of guidelines, personally. I never draw with this sort of thing. So, you know, props to you for even trying. You've gotten closer than I would have. In terms of, like, consistent proportions. But yeah. Generally speaking, the design is nice. It's simple, but it got enough going on that, you know, I'm not bored looking at her. I wish this moon was actually centered, but drawing traditionally, that shit's hard. So well done. Thank you for participating and for sharing your art. Keep up the great work. I'm proud of you for actually, like, you've got a manga teacher. You know, you're gonna surpass me sooner rather than later. So keep up the great work. Excited to see where you go from here. Thought it was gonna be an animation. Yes, clap, clap, clap. Everyone, you know, you always clap when someone finishes their turn. So let's move on to the next person, shall we? So let me close out Sarge's stuff. Next up, alright, so it's Kai, and also, I don't know necessarily who you are in chat. Some of you go by different names across different websites. Thank you, Lord at Twiins Inc. You will always be my teacher for all art. Oh, golly. Eventually, I'm gonna be asking you for advice. I feel it. It is Mr. Magius. You can tell by the profile picture. Kai did not follow the rule. And Kai did submit 2 things. So I chose the one I liked better because I wasn't gonna look at both of them because I asked for one. And it's not like 2 pictures of the same kind of figure like how we discussed. It's rough. It's hard. But we can still kind of talk about this other image that we're looking at. But, here's a design I made a while ago. Dimitri and Ren, the undead psychic duo. A cool combo. I'm surprised Mr. Magic didn't do pixel art, because they've got some cool pixel art gifs that they post to the Discord sometimes. So I'm going with this one, because I liked this one because it was clearer. It was easier to see both of the characters. And I don't know if Mr. Magus is here in chat right now. If they are, welcome. If not, I will direct them to the VOD. My first tip is going to be that these colors do give Green Lantern, which is okay. That's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a good color combination. But I do hope that Mr. Magus knows that he should expect people to make Green Lantern references, especially with the magic element being a very similar visual kind of aesthetic as Green Lantern powers. I don't even know, superheroes, and I recognize that there is, some level of Green Lantern in there, and that's not a flaw by any means. It's just something that I hope Mr. Magus knows, that people will be like, oh, it's like Green Lantern, Aside from that, I love that the cat is white, but that his outfit is predominantly dark. They contrast each other really well, and we can see that even better when they're in fight mode. In the other pick that I opted away from because he was so obscured. That's the thing. I wanted to be able to see the guy better. But the lighting effect for this one is really nice. Good job. Good job with the glowing. Back to this. This outfit is also, it's pretty simple. And there's nothing wrong with a simple outfit. It just does mean that your detailing gets to shine through more. Think about kind of like superheroes. Superman's basically, like, this skin-tight suits superheroes wear means drawing them is really easy, because you kind of just have to draw the vague shape of, like a base sketch of a naked character. Don't add any of the genitalia. Add some lines at the shoulders and you're good to go, So don't be afraid to allow yourself to explore detail in anatomy more with these more simple characters. But also, I do like that your silhouette is clean. I like the tail, corresponding with the cat as well, which is nice. I am wondering how much I like this belt. I get the idea. Contrast all this green with one nice red element. Fun fact, Superman was based off of strongman outfits. That does make sense. That was a fun fact. So I understand the idea with this red belt, but I'm wondering if it just feels a little shoehorned in because there is no other red on him. And so, I'm wondering if the outfit even needs a belt at that point. I guess I kind of wish that if we're gonna have a third color of this red, that I wish it was slightly more involved. Otherwise, I feel like it's just not doing too much. Like, if it's just gonna be one red belt, and I wonder if I would just like the outfit better without a belt. Didn't notice the belt at all. Yeah, it hides a little bit. I like that it's not a bright red. I like that it's this muted red. It means the greens jump out at you a lot more. I don't know. I feel like if we want to have this red, then like one other thing being red could perhaps help. But also, I don't want to mess up any of this color allocation that we've got. Maybe incorporating the red into the shoes where we have this outlier gray. You know what I'm saying? That would be my tip. But across the board, like, we've already got that nice contrast with this really red color palette, like skin tone, which is very smartly chosen. I'm sorry, I submitted 2 pictures. That's okay. I chose one of them. I was not mad. But yeah, I think across the board, this is a nice pose. This is a foreshortening on this arm would be challenging, so way to go. Perhaps the cat could use a little bit of work in terms of its anatomy. I'm not one to give amazing advice on cat anatomy, though. I do want to squish them. I want to pick them up and shake them around. That is all a good thing. So, what's with the line of teal on the cat? I believe the cat's dead, since Kai mentions Dimitri and Ren, undead psychic duo. So, I believe that's probably cat got run over, and now it's ghost cat. His body has been stitched back together. I feel like that character element is quite clear. A part of me does wish that that teal, it does get, especially at a distance, we lose that teal pretty fast. It does work a lot better when in big mode, but a part of me wonders if making that teal green instead, like the same kind of green that we've got on him, I wonder if that might be a little bit easier on the eyes. Something to think about, perhaps. But thank you. Thank you for the participation. I appreciate it. Well done. My favorite part is his pose. This is a tough pose to make look good. So way to go. Next up, it's Zero the hero. With the Spider Girls. Now, I don't know Jack Diddley about these. Mayday and Parker. No, Mayday Parker and Annie Gwendolyn Parker. Don't know who those are. Don't know. Like I said, Jack Diddley. Are these OCs? I don't know. So which means there's no reference for me to pull from in terms of like if you had just drawn like Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man to some degree, which means I get to go in and tell you what I read from these characters. That Mayday here seems like the tough older sibling, and Annie seems like DW. You know what I'm saying? The designs are nice. They're a bit simple, but these are also just street clothes. They do feel like things real people would wear, which is nice. I feel like people often struggle to actually make realistic outfits for characters, like realistic streetwear, without them ending up looking like costumes. Annie was the one I didn't have much to pull from, so I basically made her outfit on my own. That's fair, that's fair. That makes sense why there's so many different shades on her. And that's the thing. These are casual outfits, which means the fact that, for example, Mayday has a green jacket and an orange tank top with white trim and gray pants and teal shoes with a different shade of gray trim. and he's got a purple shirt with a brown undershirt and a pink skirt with pink stripes and black socks and white shoes. You know, those are a lot of colors. These are casual outfits. This is something that is realistic. Realistically, people don't perfectly match all that well. I think it feels more egregious because they are together, and I can see that we have literally the entire rainbow on screen. Sans yellow. Sticking them together makes all of the colors, like being like, this is a whole lot of different colors, stand out at you a lot more. That being said, they do still feel like real girls. Real girls don't go out of their way to make sure they've got perfectly matching things. And you've chosen colors on them that do look nice together. The green and orange, that's a good combo. This purple and pink, you know, purple and pink is tough to put together because they're right next to each other on the color wheel. It is easy to make purple and pink garish and ugly. And so, well done choosing shades that do not fight against each other. And this is gonna sound weird, but I am especially impressed with the shading on Annie's titties. You have recognized how shading works. This part up here, that part shouldn't exist. That triangle pretending like her tits have a crazy cleavage, that would not be a shadow cast. Especially with a sweater like this, the light would just, you know, go across both of them normally. But you have recognized, you know, the peak of the titty, and then under that, there will be shading. So well done. The devil will be in the details as you get better with art, and you have improved a lot in the short amount of time you've been sharing your art on the Discord. So it's okay to be lost. And I can see you've done the same thing with Mayday as well. Basically, you've seen that these shadows on the chests is something that people do, and I can tell that you don't get why it is done. And that is so okay. You know, we all do that. We all learn by seeing what someone else did, and then copying it. And then you figure out why they did it, and then you learn and grow and improve. This sort of shading is what you'll see in, for example, a girl wearing very little. When the shirt is much tighter, or they're wearing like a bikini, then a shadow will be cast from one titty to the other, especially with very harsh lighting. This is going to sound weird. But my advice for you, Zero, is to start paying attention to how real shadows are cast on people. Look at people. Look at how lighting works on them. And you'll start to learn a lot more. But you've already learned a whole lot. I am proud of you and how much you've improved. Things that I think you can work on. Poses can be a little stiff, and I've already seen you starting to work on that as well. Poses can be a little stiff, especially for fellas. Men can move too. You should know. You're one of those. Boys can bend and twist and stand on their tippy toes. And that also being said, you know, girls don't have to always be standing on their tippy toes just because they're cute. Don't be afraid to explore outside of the realm of these sort of stereotypes that we tend to follow when making character designs. And don't be afraid to have your cool character stand cutely, and vice versa. It'll expand your horizons as an artist. But thank you for sharing. Well done. Way to go, you. I'll also say Annie's hair feels a little bit like a redhead's got dreads. Mayday's hair looks fluffy and soft and real touchable. So, way to go. Really across the board on those. But thank you so much. You're improving, and thank you for participating. Now let me close out zeros and open up the next batch that I've got. You stuck looking at me for right now. I need water. Okay. I'm opening a bunch of things. Give me a moment. Yeah, I guess we'll just open all the rest of them from Patreon. And I guess we'll start at the back with Green Machine. Green Machine, oh no, Green Machine will be right back. We'll jump over Green Machine. We'll do this. We'll jump to Hut Mutt Butt instead. Hut Mutt Butt has participated, saying, I'm zooming in because it was tiny, so get excited to watch me scroll. I don't have time this week to draw further critiques, so here's Dahlia/Celerity. I hope I said either of those correct. An OC from my comic I tried making a few years ago. The theme of her design is winter and stars. I was wondering how I can improve on that while staying realistic and sleek. Parentheses, she has speed powers. I appreciate that. Alright, and here we go. Dahlia. Was it Dahlia? I'm bad with names. I'm not getting... What was her abilities? She's got speed powers. Winter and stars. So I am getting the stars. I'm not getting winter quite so much. The white hair helps. The thing is, I think if we want to really push winter, and this can actually, they can correlate quite easily. If you want to have a very clear winter and star aesthetic, I would say make this purple of her outfit much darker. You want to, and wander a little bit more into like a blue purple rather than this red purple. You see what I'm saying? You want it to look like the night sky. And then you can have ice, like snowflakes and stars kind of draping across her limbs, kind of like how you have already. Basically just, here, I'll do up a little mock idea of what I'm suggesting. So, you know, we got kind of our star vibe, where we've got our sky, and then we've got probably a light blue snowflake. You know, snowflake kind of deal. You know, we got snowflakes doing their things. And then you can also have white stars, which are easily conveyed with just spots. Ignore the ugly one. And there you go. That's how I would do it. currently I do very clearly get the stars. It's just your winter is getting lost and how, like, warm it all is. This warm purple is really what's fighting against you in terms of, conveying what you want. It is super cute though. What a cutie pootie little art style. It's very reminiscent of, like, almost Higurashi, but more like, kind of like, what's her name? Deep Sea Prisoner. I love cute little sort pseudo chibis like this. So, she's a real cutie pie, and I like the texturing of her top as well. And having that differentiate from her pants. I think that's really cute. So, I love her. She's adorably designed. All she really needs is just like a darker shade of purple, and we're ready to rock and roll. That would be my humble suggestion. We could even keep her eyes this shade, honestly. I think there's value in having eyes that don't necessarily correlate with the rest of a color palette, you know? It does. Oh yeah, it's kind of like, it's giving Maple Story. Very cute. Question, Professor Twiins, would a lighter purple work too? A light purple could work, if we want to keep this very good question. A lighter purple could work if we want to keep this more saturated blue, but either way, I suggest, so here, this is the color that we've got currently on her, and it's a very warm purple. Wander just a little bit up the color wheel, and we jump straight into red. So what we want is to wander into a colder purple, closer to blue, which, without moving the saturation at all, would put us here, which isn't very different. You're in a very middle saturation. You're probably limited by your markers or pencils that you're working with traditionally. Making it darker, but keeping it cool. You know, so closer to blue, or making it lighter, but keeping it cool. The lighter option, I feel like, only works if we want to keep this very saturated blue. Great question. Great question. Loved that question. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I've moved you guys over, so it's a little bit easier for me to see you all. I would always draw by using Gacha Club as a reference. Also, she's the sister of the character you drew for Patreon when you still do that. Oh golly! Wowee! I say thank you, Professor. I don't have GIFs, but pretend I posted the SpongeBob GIF of Patrick writing it down. I see it. I see it clearly. So, great question. Great work. I appreciate the submission. Way to go, you. Everyone say thank you to Hut Mutt Butt. Thank you, Hut Mutt Butt. Alrighty. Ruth returned. No, that's not your name. Green Machine. Wait. Who returned? Green Machine. Green Machine returned. Okay, Green Machine returned. So, you're next with, yeah, I'll add it here. Also, by the way, your profile picture, being fucking, I forget his name, fucking Pleakley or whatever, from Smiling Friends, always makes me laugh. I do always confuse you. It's because you're both green to me. You're the same exact shade of green, and you're like the two people who I consistently read as female, even though I'm not even sure you're both female. It's just how it is. Pam, I was close. Anyway, here's Green Machine's submission, a cool autumnal Cough Egregious. I think the only critter in the submission collection. I can tell that this was not like rushed, but quite quickly done. In a good way. I love that sketchy flavor that you've really nailed here. It really adds a lot to the texturing in the wood. You can see it like up here. That's some nice texturing, and like here as well. Oh, here too. I'm digging the texture so much in the wood, and it's a great idea as well. Having this like the white bark and orange leaves. It's so nice that it makes me wonder, is this actually what the shiny form of Trevenant is? Because if it's not, it should be this. The only thing that I lament is that tasty texturing isn't in the leaves. I wish we got a little bit more of a little pizzazz in the leaves and how you've rendered their lighting. We've got this nice bark flavor, and then the leaves are kind of just hanging out there. And if we had kind of gotten that same, like, you clearly know what you're doing. You know, it's tough to critique the people who know what they're doing and they excel in something that I don't excel at, you know? Something kind of like that, just to give the leaves a little bit more density, depth, as it were. But this is really great. I like how unshaded, how untextured the dark part is on the inside, because it's ghost goo. I chose not to do an ink blob because I liked my sketch. Yeah. And honestly, I like that. Like, you had mentioned not doing a clean line art, and I'm glad, because this sketchy look, like, all around, it's got a lot of life to it. It's very loose, and I think that's something people tend to struggle with sometimes, where they'll have this really nice sketch, and then they go in and clean it up with line art, and the line art will be really uniform and sterile, and we lose a little bit of that movement, that natural life and fluidity that sketches can give you. There's nothing wrong with using your sketch. You don't always have to have a quote-unquote clean line art layer. So this is really smartly and well done. It's tough to critique because you've done really well. I don't think I could render Trevenant this well. I wish we got a little bit of more detailing here with its little twofers, like in terms of the shading. But at this point, I'm nitpicking just to, so I can give you plenty of screen time, because I find very little to critique. I want it as a sticker. That always happens with my sketch to clean line art. I do like my vector lines. I don't understand people who do vector lines. Those don't, my brain don't work like that. I give you a sticker. Oh golly. But yeah, really well done. Genuinely might be the hardest one for me to critique, because it's really well done. Like, really great job. What are vector lines? It's a way of rendering, basically. It's tough to explain, and that's why part of what I'm so bad at. You can Google it and probably get a better answer. They might work really well for you, but they're not how my brain works. But yes, well done, Green Machine. Thank you very much for participating. Next up, Genital War Thunder. Need water, hang on. This one's gonna be another tough one to critique because it's quite outside my wheelhouse, but I will still offer my humble opinions as an artist. Genital War Thunder says, alright, I decided on Damon Princess Pyrrha for my submission. I did some last minute touch-ups, and here she is. And here it is. Wow, it's a miniature, which also means you all get to hear me say miniature all fucking goofy like that. Now, I did ask Genital War Thunder how all this works, and basically he painted it, and also I believe this one has some custom-made elements that he orders from elsewhere. The main thing we're focusing on is the paint job, but we can also look at the general design as well. Personally, the thing that's very much giving Pyrrha is this use of golden red, but if you had asked me, who is this supposed to be? I would not have been able to tell you, oh, that looks like Pyrrha. It's just sort of like, and I think that's just, by virtue of it being like a tiefling demon man, lady, I see some titty. But we've just wandered so far away from what Ruby is that unless you know going in, it's difficult. Like, this isn't her weapon. And that color palette, that Pyrrha color palette, is really only seen in the lower half. So, and that's okay. Recognize, though, that someone might not immediately get Pyrrha looking at this. In order to push Pyrrha more, you would have to add more of this red across the design. So there you go, and maybe some gold. I will say, you can see a little bit in the hair, a little bit. I don't love the blue wings. The blue wings seem like they're fighting against everything else in the design. We've got this nice, clear, like, black, gold, and red aesthetic across the figure. And then just suddenly these, like, bright, like, forget-me-not blue wings. And I love this shade of blue, but I just don't know how much I like them connected to this figure. They feel like they've come out of nowhere. And if that's the goal, then well done. Yeah, but they feel almost alien. As if, example, Salem had sewn wings onto her. And now that might be something what people look for. You know? I don't know how to pronounce that word. But yeah, Nietzsche's colors are super bright, and trying to implement him into it was a bitch. I bet. You could alleviate this by weathering the wings, in a way, just to make it a less bright shade. Weathering might be something you might want to start exploring in your figure process. I recommend Studson Studios to you, Genital War Thunder. Studson makes miniatures of locations predominantly, though he has done his fair little share of critters. The horse one was most notable, but we'll ignore that because it's hard to explain. Weathering might be a great addition to your figures to make them feel kind of lived in, for lack of a better word. What's weathering? It's adding a varnish to pieces in order to give it a look as if it has been in the weather. No real sun bleaching necessary, though you could go that extra mile. It's something you can paint on, and what it does is it kind of, you think of a wall. You make a miniature of a brick wall, and it looks really pristine, because it's, you know, you just painted it, and no matter how much you texture it, you know, it's still this nice, bright paint. You can put a varnish on it, a wash, and it kind of auto-weathers that for you. So it looks a little bit more realistic, a little bit less pristine and beautiful. This might be something you might want to explore moving forward, the next way to level up your figure painting. Unfortunately, I know quite little about figure painting. I don't even know how big this figure would be. Is it really itty-bitty, or is it quite large? I can't tell. The painting is pretty clean, I gotta be honest. There's some, you know, the lines are generally, you know, clean on the seams, you know? Like, I'm not seeing any egregious bleed over. I do also suggest, and this also, the size of the figure affects things a lot. If this is a real mini, what I'm gonna suggest is going to sound ludicrous and would be irrational. If this is a little bit bigger, that's something you could absolutely start trying, is adding shading to your figures. And I know that sounds stupid, because shading replicates the light, and this is a three-dimensional thing. The light is right there. You don't need to shade in the shadows. It casts its own shadows. I know. I have that exact same thought process. When I was in my sculpture class in college, it was still like, you gotta add some dimension to this, girl. And so I did, and they were right. Adding some sort of, like, I'm gonna describe it as, like, baked-in shadows and light, like highlights, can add a lot. You don't need to do the whole dang thing, but it'll really help bring a figure to life. And I think that might be the next step in making your work pop even harder. So in the series I'm implementing Pyrrha into has 4 gods. As a princess of chaos undivided, the 4 color schemes are needed. Chaos also adds a lot, doesn't it? I used to shade on the flames of the sword, and they look really nice. The sword might be my favorite part, which sounds rude. But, like, we're getting a lot here, you know? The sword, like, I could see where the light is, and then it travels up nicely. I kind of wish, ooh, you know what would be cool? Like an airbrushing of like a purple, but that's just, you know, a opinion thing. I usually do weathering for my tanks. Also, yes, she's pretty sizable. Then yeah, I think you can continue to explore adding some values to this if and you'd like. And yeah, having to have all the colors to be lore accurate is a right challenge. Perhaps if you feel the wings are feeling too out of place, basically, I'm gonna describe it as like embedding into parts of it some of this red or gold. Maybe having a gradient of red and gold on the leathery part of the wings, and then having the blue really stand out on the bones. That might be a way to approach it. But at this point, you know, that it's how you choose to approach the wings is up to you. But I love the submission. Absolutely love it. I know so little about not only this IP, but also just figures, you know, like, and painting them specifically. I can't do shit like this, especially, like, even if it's sizable. I've never been good at painting little details. So, yeah, for even better advice, I do suggest you check out Studson's studio. He'll have way better suggestions for you. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. I like that I've got all these different kinds of flavors of art. Next up is James Rubiest. I throw Cola Vana to the mix, which is one of their characters. Here is Cola Vana. Wowie wow willikers. This color palette is mighty limited. I can really appreciate a very limited color palette. I do sort of wish there was one more thing on here to break it up, because it does sort of all end up bleeding together. Especially in motion, this character would be a little difficult to keep track of. If we're going to add another color, like, maybe, like, just that gemstone, or, like, clasp, could change. I wouldn't want it to be a lot. Kind of just something to help you find their center might be a good idea. Especially since the skin tone is also quite yellow. On top of this yellow accent, it means that the yellows were all kind of bleeding together. You might all recall, you know, like how I talked about yesterday, how I think wandering into a more warm, like a pinker skin tone with a character with yellow accents in the design so heavily featured is how I approach things. There are no laws, though. It is giving Doc Ock. It's, which is nice. The spider legs are well rendered. Way to go. I'm bad at, like, making mech shit actually look like mech shit. So, way to go, you. And I quite like the silhouette of this high collar and then the hair. Nothing is getting in the way of the spider legs, which is smart. People will be like, I'm gonna have a spider character, so I'm gonna give them this long hair like spider webs, and then they have to fight that to have them crawl around doing spider things. You have smartly avoided that issue. I will say, I think the knee capes are not doing anything all that useful. Kind of just an element to get in the way. And the silhouette feels like they're not adding anything. I would have omitted them personally. And also I wish your background was something different, because it's the exact same shade of yellow that we have on the design. And then the exact same shade of black that we have on the design. And so your character is hiding in their own art. Either adding a drop shadow so that your character literally stands out from the background, or using these colors but changing the saturate, like the shade or tint. So for example, if we want this nice gradient, here, I'll add it. We want this nice gradient, but we go with a much brighter yellow, like a high, closer to white, brighter yellow. And then that goes to a much darker black. Then your character won't hide as much. You see what I'm saying? But that's just me. Because I like being able to see all these details and you're hiding them in their own background. You're camouflaging your characters, you know? They are fancy knee capes. They almost look like they should be on his shoulders, you know? Or their shoulders. They almost look like they belong on their shoulders. But yeah, you tend to make your characters quite thin. And this isn't me saying draw fat characters. I mean, you can if you want to. There's no stopping it. But, you tend to just not use a whole lot of space width-wise when you render your characters. I don't know if you're just working with a limited kind of space, and that's why, but so often sometimes what'll happen is you'll have your character and I can tell that you're struggling to get all the details onto like the torso and such, because you're because they're so thin. So don't be afraid to widen, that won't work, to widen your characters, yeah, just sometimes, and if you do it and you're like, ew, I hate that, then you know what? Then you hate it. Nothing, you don't need to change anything if you don't want to, but don't be afraid to push the boundaries on how wide your characters can be, and they can still be real thin. You know I tend to draw a lot of skinny bitches as well. But yeah, don't be afraid to. Do you see that difference? Just a suggestion, moving forward. This is actually already a thicker character than some of the others I've seen you post on the Discord. And it don't look bad. But yeah, the color palette's just a little limited. Just a wee bit. But I'm glad that you don't have, like, 4 different shades of... Like, you've got all these different shades of black to gray. In a way that feels cohesive without it being like... You know, we're going through all 50 shades of gray, you know? So, a nice job avoiding that. Of having this, like, lighter gray detailing without it becoming... obnoxious, without it feeling like you're breaking the palette that you clearly set upon yourself. I like my characters wide, personally. I think you crossed my eyes. Oh, sorry. Always keep it to 3 to 4, maybe a 5th. You mean color? Yeah, but there's not too many colors on here. Like, you've got 3 to 4... maybe 5 colors, but they're all black. They're all doing the same thing. You know, we've got this dark black hair, and then multiple shades of very similar grays that are reading as black, and then yellow. You ostensibly have 2 colors on this character. Clothing-wise, it's even fewer, since we don't even have that very dark black, you know? So, keeping it to a limited color, like, range, is smart, but don't be afraid to play across the color wheel sometimes. I know you use a lot of black, white, red, and yellow in your characters, and don't be afraid to allow yourself to wander outside of a strict color palette like that, to incorporate just a little bit of another color. You see what I'm saying? And you don't have to do this with this one. Just moving forward, don't be afraid to... Don't feel like you need to stay stuck in black and white. There we go. That's a much better way of putting it. Villain vibes the best way possible. It really do be villain vibes. Plant Doug appears. Now I gotta fucking scoot everything over so I can find Doug. But thank you so much for... Is that him? No. There he is. Okay. Thank you so much for participating, though. I'm glad that you opted to join in. I was surprised that you hadn't, at first. And then I just saw that you didn't see the announcement. But yeah. Thank you very much. Well done. Next up, the last of the Patreon, or rather Discord members, Unspoken, which someone pointed out is unspoken, and I felt a fool for not realizing that. I will call you Ken. My main question would be how to encapsulate a character's personality and what they wear. And then also, Ken has a detailed description of this character's personality. Haven't fully fleshed him out yet, but basically he didn't particularly like getting into fighting growing up, but he was basically forced to due to backstory shenanigans that put him in his current position. This, over the passing of time, caused him to develop a cold and brutish persona. Although he's brutal, or otherwise rude to the people he dislikes, he can be more reserved, open, which is grammatically incorrect, to the people he considers friends, and will often try to struggle to give advice to them. Otherwise, he struggles with expressing his other emotions. He acts tough in front of others, but easily gets flustered and is basically a softie on the inside. So that was a lot. And here's the thing, to answer your question. My main question, how to encapsulate a character's personality and what they wear. And the answer is you don't. You do not. You cannot. Because a character is so much more than what they wear. Anyone can wear anything. Now I'm going to grab something as an example. Let me grab this example. And I see you. I see you on the Discord. You really anguish. And that might be too harsh of a word. But you really fret, which sounds like I'm dismissing you. But you worry about what your characters are wearing quite a lot. Which is valuable, you know? Characters gotta wear something. Gotta wear something, don't they? And so it's nice to care. But I'm going to show you an example of something. Here we go. Paste. Oh my god, it's a huge picture. Hang on. Let me shrink this image slightly so we can see what we're looking at here. Alright. Edward Elric. He's rude, and especially in this scene, he is actively insulting a church goer, a woman of faith, for her faith. Now, this picture has been photoshopped a little bit. But the important part is, Edward is not just his sort of school uniform-esque outfit with a red jacket. Edward is not just a braided hairstyle. Edward, you can see how rude he is by how he stands, by his facial expressions, by how he talks. A character cannot just be boiled down to what they wear. I don't get any character from this because it is a paper doll wearing an outfit. And unlike Barbie, you know, Barbie can get away with that because she is assigned roles outside of a uniform, which can tell you a lot. You know, a casual outfit like this can only give so little. He seems tough. You know, I see the ragged edges that imply a fighter. I know that you intend for him to give wolf, but the color palette personally gives me shark. That will end up being a Rorschach test for people. But to answer your question, you know, you don't encapsulate a character's personality and what they wear unless all you're trying to do is make stereotypes. I made a doctor, so I made them look like a doctor. I made a ballerina, so I put them in a ballerina outfit. Your character, this is a detailed, you know, paragraph you gave me with a lot to unpack. There's a lot of character in this character, and it's foolhardy to think you can put all of that into just an outfit. When how a character stands tells you so much more than how a character dresses. You know, we've got character A, who stands like this, and then we got character B, who stands like this. We get so much more character. Like, these are shitty stick figures. And we can see, you know, this one is big and open. This one is closed in off on themselves. How they stand, how they present themselves is how you're going to convey character. How they hold their face, how they emote. That is what you're going to get to convey character. Yeah. There you go. I don't know if that's going to be the answer you want or you're looking for, but I'm going to suggest to not let yourself worry too much about the tiny details of an outfit, because you're not going to get the whole character in just an outfit. And you'd be doing yourself a disservice to think that you can, because you're a good artist. You're a really swell artist. And so often, Doug has been banished. So often, what I see you do is you have a really cool outfit that you will then clutter up with too many details. You know, you've got all this, like, leather working detailing. You've got seam lines and everything, which is really cool. But it's hidden under all these chains. It's hidden under, you know, all these patterns. It's hidden under all these studs. It's hidden under all these other patterns. You have this seemingly habit to keep adding more and more and more. And there's nothing wrong with a detailed, complex design. But often, I do think that sometimes you don't need all the details in every single design you make. Yeah, it's kind of like, what's her name? Coco Chanel says, is before you leave the house, take off one accessory. Leaving out some of your little details would, I think, help you in the long run. You're giving a lot of life to these characters, and if these were in 3D models, like, goddamn. But illustrated, like, first of all, this would be a nightmare to draw over and over for a comic or animated, personally. But also, I just feel like you don't need to keep adding more things just to try to convey your entire character in their outfit. You know what I'm saying? Not to sound cliche, but less is more. Less is more. Don't think the pants rip like that. Yeah, that is a fascinating way to rip. It implies that, I think these are like chaps. Like a chap thing over other pants. They're thickica pants. Oh, Mr. Magis, yeah, yours was at the very beginning. I gave you lots of compliments. My big suggestion was maybe change the teal on the cat to green. But you can watch the VOD and hear the full thoughts. But thank you for participating. So, yeah. And there you go, Ken. Those are my thoughts. I like seeing your art. I like seeing when you draw, like, your character expressions and stuff. And I wish we got to see that more often. And to sometimes, I think my biggest tip is, let yourself worry less about the little details in an outfit. Because sometimes I feel like you're getting in your own way. For example, this guy's got dog tags. That tells me so much more than anything else. You know, we've got dog tags, but the only reason I noticed them is because I found myself distracted by the fancy tears in his undershirt. Yeah, that are completely hidden by the teeth of a jacket. That then also has all this stitching detailing. And also it's a crop top jacket as well. You know what I'm saying? I think you know what I'm saying. You're a smart cookie. I do appreciate your participation. And I'm excited to see more of your characters. And I'm excited to see them doing more than standing around. Because every time you post, like, a character doing something, it's like, God, why does this guy follow me, huh? He's way too good to be here. What are you doing? So thank you for participating. I do appreciate it. And I can tell that you're gonna go far. And I'm excited to see how far you go. I hope you remember us when you're, when you become God King or whatever. As a manga man, my other art teacher told me to keep it simple, because in a story, you gotta redraw a character a bunch of times. But at the same time, don't be too simple, where anyone can wear what the important character is wearing. Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough, yeah, I made overly designed characters, for years and years and years and years. And now, even now, I don't know how good I am at drawing simplified designs. I just know that I'm willing to tolerate redrawing my designs over and over. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's nice to see you in here as well. In chat. We don't see you all the time, necessarily. Now we're moving over to, something was an unsupported format. But why? Hang on. Let me go grab Coral Palette's picture for real. Because it was a weird file, I suppose. I didn't get any submissions on Twitter, I don't think. If you gave me a submission on Twitter, then I feel like I didn't get any. And so, let me know if that's true, and I will look into it. But not right now, because I can't see you guys, because I'm getting Coral Palette's picture. I'll just make that, I'll title it ZZZZZ so I can find it. Okay. Do you ever do that? You title something a bunch of Z's or a bunch of zeros, so it's either at the top or the bottom. And then you just do that a lot, so you can't find it anymore. There we go. All right. As a modeler, little details can be a mixed bag. Small details are super easily lost in the printing process. It's true. It's true. It do be true. So Coral says, tear me a new one, Chief. I will do so politely. Slow art week for me, but I did want to make something you could criticize the color of it. I've been trying to introduce two-tone shading as of late. Other than that, tear me a new one, Twiins. So, two-tone shading. Where? I'm seeing a lot of purple, which I assume is supposed to be the shading. It does not feel much like shadows, though, because it's not dark. I do suggest pushing these values a lot further, because your shading color, your deep shading purple, is literally, so here. So here is my triangle of colors, and up here is white, over here is saturated, down here is black. That's how it works. And your purple is here. And then this blue on the darkest part of the blue is right there. So in order for it to be shadows, it needs to be darker. You just need to push this purple down here, and then it'll actually start reading as shading. I love seeing the use of not just black for shadows. And you've bravely also not done like a, you lower the opacity, like how you'll see me do that all the time. You can set it to multiply, which also helps a lot. But of course there's no one way to do art. I shade with colors a lot. I just suggest making them darker colors. It works really well on the orange, because this orange is quite light, and so that reads as a shadow. The problem is there's so much that is not, where it just doesn't quite convey. And I think especially for things in the distance, like this distance fuzz and all this over here. So you're fuzzy snake, for lack of a better word, representing you're clearly the focal point. And then these people down here, they're in the distance. And so things that are further away, and you've almost got this. They are quite purpley over there. You'll see this with like mountains, distant mountains. They look bluey purple because things that are further away pick up the shadows in the sky. Things that are close to you are clear. Things that are further are obscured by the atmosphere I'm circling the sky in the goddamn sky color, are obscured by the atmosphere and obtain a purpley blue shade to them. Thank you for being here, Serge. I appreciate you being here. Also, you, Mira, I appreciate you being here as well. And, so yeah, and we're already getting that, like, distancing with your, guys down here. But they just don't look very shaded because of it, since your shading is already purple. And we lose the color of the grass completely with them. So shading with colors is great, is thumbs up. But don't be afraid to still make sure you can clearly see what color might be beneath them. Which is hard. I don't shade with colors for that exact reason. If I'm going to shade with colors, I shade with darker versions of whatever color. So, you know, we've got this orange, I would shade it, you know, with a darker orange. Probably not that dark, but you know. So putting everything into a purple shadow can absolutely work, but just one, I say push that value darker so your shadows really convey depth. And that's kind of the big thing. And two, if something's in the distance, accommodate your shadows accordingly. Maybe making Farmer Joe and his sheepy more bluey or green, since they would be surrounded by all this grass, and then keeping that purple shadow. Instead of having them also end up being quite purpley with that purple shadow. They end up kind of fading away, as it were. Shit, I almost made it then. Hello. Can you do mine next? I'm gonna go to bed real soon. Yes, I will do yours next. I will jump you in the line, because it doesn't really matter. But yeah, great job. I like the lighting. I like especially these eyes. The eyes really pop out at you. And, especially on the orange, everything looks really nice. Shading orange with purple, you know, there are complementary colors, so it's really smart. And I like the subtle shine in the furry parts as well. So, you're on the right track, and you cranked this out quite quickly. Your composition is hindering you. What is all this up here, huh? What is all that? That's nothing. Why do we have so much sky for no good reason? And then, we've got, like, a lot down here. There's a lot going on down here. But, that's our focus? Nuh-uh. I end up, like, sliding down your character and then getting stuck looking at everything down here. And then I try to come back up, and I fall down these nice drapey parts. So, but then, you know, I'm like, why do we have all this sky? So, just cropping the sky a little bit could have helped. Maybe, I got a lot going on right now. Maybe, changing, the Fuzzy Snake's pose to be more like, kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, and then I'm here, you know? It is what it is now. But just be aware that it is a quite bottom-heavy composition. So yeah, compositions are hard. They're one of the harder things. I appreciate— well done! Thank you so much for participating. Wanted to make sure we got your clapping. And I appreciate you submitting something with a full composition like that. We are jumping over Orion. We will get to you next. But Twisty Rob will be going to bed soon. So I assume this is you, Rob the TV head. I believe that's you. Correct? Alright, let me go. Gotta drink. So, Rob the TV head says, well, I don't know if accepted more than just, but here my old designs left and new recent designs right about my Grim Magic, which they didn't add, OC. I chose your new designs because what's the point of critiquing an old design, you know? Here they are. Hazel. This is a Little Red Riding Hood. So there's a lot of different designs here. We've got her in her school uniform, which is cute. A cute addition. And then I'm assuming this is before Magical Girl, casual outfit, and then how her Magical Girl outfit looks. I will say, okay, so, I like the green eyes with the red. The green eyes pop against the red really nicely. This hair is fighting against you. This doesn't read much as a hood. This reads like a Pikmin. You know, like a Pikmin little hat, you know? And if that's what you wanted, that's great. But just be aware that it does not convey hood for Little Red Riding Hood. It is a bit of a Route 1 Magical Girl uniform. It's just a red dress. Do you need to do more for Little Red Riding Hood? No, not necessarily. But I do like her casual jacket a lot more. It is a red hood, and I like this silhouette. It's very cute. But we do successfully make the jump to Magical Girl. You know, they're clearly different. This one is clearly the special one. I especially like the big bow. I don't know how I feel about the brown elements, the brown gloves and shoes. A part of me sort of wishes they were more green, like a greeny brown, personally, but the brown isn't bad. I like the idea of incorporating her nice green eyes into another location on her. But I really like this jacket she's got going on. What items we have over here? Old bag, new bag, and it's a little basket. That's fucking cute. Especially with the basket being brown and her gloves being brown, they might blend together. That's something I would think about, like making a Magical Girl design. And then lots of fun items. Look at that, she can throw rocks at people. Wowee. So it's very cute. I was trying to make her hat and ribbon were supposed to evoke her red hood. I think that the brown looks good because brown and red are analogous colors. Yeah, it definitely isn't bad. I am nitpicking in a way. It's something that, you know, could be explored, but also I think green gloves could end up looking quite goofy as well. So it could be an easily ignored idea. I think my biggest thing is, I lament the lack of this cute pink bow. Yeah, it's a dang cute pink bow, and something I try to do when I make my Magical Girls is I try to keep their silhouette the same, even for the 2 pages where we see their casual outfit. For example, Cat in Cat and Mouse gets cat ears when she becomes a Magical Girl. And so in order to convey that silhouette, I gave her a quite hip hoodie with, you know, little cat ear like elements on it so that she still had that same silhouette. And that's something that I lament here, is that we have this very, very cute bow in her hair, which could have turned red with this like really long ribbons to be her quote-unquote red hood. But then her silhouette changes to her cute little hat with the flower on top. And so that's something I do lament, is that the bow moves so far and that the silhouette on her head ends up changing so much, but it conveys change, you know, the growth, a difference in her. So, which is good for the Magical Girl transformation to look different. You know what I'm saying? The silhouette of the hair is nice. Yep, I like this cute short hairstyle. It is a cute, short hairstyle. So cute, I said it twice. I will admit that she does look like a Pikmin, an adorable Pikmin. She really do. Which is hilarious. I haven't played Pikmin, but I was like, that's a Pikmin hat. Like, she almost looks like a human Pikmin. Like, someone was like, I made a human version of Red Pikmin. And it's like, goddamn, that do be a Pikmin. Well, yeah, thank you so much for the submission. For participating. Like how Sailor Moon always keeps her pigtails. Exactly. It's something I try to keep in mind. But yeah. Way to go, you. Have fun sleeping, because I know you'll have to go to bed in the not too distant future. Orion, here you are for real, for real. So Orion Lupine, which I always read wrong. I always read it as Orion Plume. Hi Twins is my OC submission. The 2 critiques I'd like to hear are in regards to character design and anatomy. Any other critiques you'd make would be greatly appreciated. First of all, I don't know what this is over here. I assume it's a weapon, but this is too short to be a hilt for like a sword, so I don't know what that is over there. Your anatomy seems fine. I see no outstanding, like everything is proportionate. Nothing is too long, too short, too fat, too thin. So yeah, the anatomy I see no issues with. The design, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and specifically it's this asymmetry. I can only assume it's there for a reason. This seems to be a robo hand, and so having a robobot hand, those are difficult to work with, and will necessitate asymmetry. But then we're asymmetrical in a lot of other different ways. We've only got 1 earring on this side over here, and the bangs scream asymmetry. But then so we've got a skirty-doo, like a sash, on 1 hip, very deliberately. And then, this is the baffling part, why do we have pants on one side, like full pants on one side, and then pants tucked into a boot on the other side? It ends up making the character feel lopsided. And I can understand the idea being to balance out this robo hand with a similar thing over here. That might be a robo boot. I'll be honest, but having it doesn't end up balancing out as much as as you would think it would. It's supposed to be a large lance. I see. Yeah, it doesn't end up balancing out as much as you think it might. Having the legs share a silhouette more would help a lot more. Just like how you do with the sleeves. Like this one's a robo hand. A robobot hand. But like this side, the jacket is the same silhouette. We still have a bell shape at the end of the jacket sleeve, just like how we do with the robo arm. So trying to emulate that in order to avoid a lopsided feeling. She feels this side heavy. She feels this side heavy. You know what I'm saying? Because especially this arm is clearly different, and then this leg feels different because this leg shares that same bell shape as both of the sleeves. And so, that arm is different, that leg is different, the sash is on this side, the hair goes this way, this 1 earring isn't enough to balance her out. It feels like she's going to fall over. That is the double-edged sword of asymmetry, it makes your character more interesting and dynamic, but if pushed too hard, it can end up making your character feel lopsided in a way. I quite like all these details. Mostly, I just wish that this boot was covered with a flared pant, and I have basically no complaints outside of that. The color palette is a little limited. I gotta be honest, she feels like a Yang X Neo child. You'll have to let me know if I clocked that. But I'm getting Yang and I'm getting Neapolitan. Again, you'll have to let me know. Which isn't a bad thing. It's just something I noticed. And I will also say, I wish the inside of this jacket wasn't the same color as the pants. Because we're losing everything. If the inside of the jacket was just this darker brown that's on the outside, then there'd be no problems. But as it is, we start to lose your legs in, let's zoom out here. When you look at a character as just blocks of color, your legs are lost. And it only pushes your asymmetry issue. You see what I'm saying? The left leg is a prosthetic. That makes sense then. Then yeah, if these pants just flared out, then no issues. It do be a Mega Man shoe, which is such a good character. Mega Man shoes are peak. I keep thinking of later volume Yang with one of her pants being unzipped versus the full leg on the other, and I keep seeing that. I keep seeing that. I keep seeing characters who are like, here I am with my legs sticking out, and you know, then there's their legs, and then it's like pants, and then shorts, and I'm like, why are we doing this? As if anyone thinks this looks good. But I don't know, maybe I'm just a hater. I was thinking Yang and Pyrrha. It's the pink that had me feeling Neo. But yeah, I really like the hair. This kind of extreme bang thing is difficult to make look good. At least I find it is. And it doesn't feel like goofy or anything here. So well done with your extreme bang. Good job making a Robobot arm like look decent. I suck at that. Yeah, just a little too asymmetrical for my liking. But I do quite like the color palette as well. Thank you so much for participating. I appreciate it. Fair enough, I was trying to allude to her inspiration, Monoceros, the unicorn constellation. That's pretty fucking fly. That makes the lance make sense. And then the hair? Nice. I always give my unicorn characters tiaras. Every single time. I'm just like, and then they wear a tiara, you know? So, that's just a clever way of doing it. Way to go, you. You. I've grown to dismay the full pants on one leg, shorts on the other. It just looks like the character's trying too hard. It really do. Next up is Overhypin'. Here's my submission. It's the most recent thing I've drawn, and I'm super proud of it, but I'd love to hear how I can improve. So, first of all, I've gotta say, I've only ever seen conjoined twins in, like, a fetish sense when it comes to illustrations. And I'm not saying this is fetish art, but it is a fetish that I am quite uncomfortable with. But we are going to ignore that. To instead discuss the design. Yes, I know. I don't get it, but it is the truth. So I will say, having your conjoined twins with a shirt that's literally split down the middle on color is... And then also different color shoes and different color hair bows. It's awfully on the nose. If you look up real conjoined twins, you will see that they just wear a shirt. A large shirt that, you know, they've probably got to get tailored. They just wear one shirt, how it be. Having it, not only do they not share a neck hole, but also it being literally split down the middle is just awfully on the nose. It feels like you're pushing the point too hard when the point is already clear by the fact that they have two heads. You know what I'm saying? I will also say that this pose is confusing. I can't tell if they are jumping or, like, sitting on their knees on the floor. I assume they're sitting on their knees, you know, and the one is doing their art, and then the other one is doing their writing. But no one sits like that. No one sits on their knees, and no one jumps with their knees bent all up like this either. Having just a slightly, like... And then a knee, you know, a slightly less harsh bend in the knee would help alleviate that. Because my own old person knees, this would hurt. You know what I'm saying? And the final thing is that I do think our composition is hindered by all this empty space up here. You know? Like, they are technically centered. You know, you zoom out and, you know, you draw across the page, and other than being a little bit to the left, which might just be me not being able to eyeballing it correctly, like, they are technically in the center, but they are not centered in the composition. Because we have all this empty space not doing anything up here. So, don't be afraid to crop out empty space. Your character doesn't need to be in the literal center of the page to be getting the most out of your use of a page. For example, we crop it like to this, And we've got all their art, you know, clear as day. We've got them clear as day. And, you know, we're still working in the rule of thirds. Cut your image into thirds, and this is actually how people approach composition. Centering things is difficult. Really what you want are things happening on these lines. Because it's just more visually stimulating. It helps keep an eye flowing throughout the page. You know what I'm saying? I like that it is red and blue versus red and green or orange and blue. Having it be complementary colors would feel a little, like, a little too much. Having it be red and blue is like, they're still clearly, like, different. But without it being like, we're going way too hard on they're opposites, you know? So good job on that front. Also, as a bonus, sorry, I was quiet for a moment and tilting my head, because as a bonus, I like the little doodles. The little doodles are cute. You gotta care about those little details in pictures, because people will be like, okay, what's she drawn, though? Thank you for participating. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your art. How many more we got left? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more. 5 more. Gotta do little doodles of dick butt. Next up is a name I don't recognize, but hey, I appreciate you being here. Jeff Harp Art. I don't know who you might be in chat. Maybe you're just quiet. But, yeah, so we got Jeff. Hi, I've been designing this character for a video game. Feel free to say whatever. His name is Star Rider. I like that Jeff has specified that the character is in a video game because it primes me to think about them in the third dimension. If you don't know what a medium is going to be, it can become harder to critique. An art. I do wish I knew what kind of video game. I'm assuming a racer. He definitely gives I am the default protagonist choice. In terms of a pretty basic silhouette, a pretty basic, yeah, color palette. He's giving sort of, like, he's giving racer. He's giving me plenty of little details to the point that I think I'm going to be wrong in saying them, you know? Like, we've got, you know, speed racer pants, but then, like, kind of like fighter pilot jacket and like, train conductor goggles. He's gotta be in a vehicle, right? So, yeah, giving me Hi-Fi Rush vibes. Yeah, kinda. I do love this color palette. It's giving superhero without being like, that's a superhero. You know, these are protagonist colors, being really bright and vibrant and poppy, which is nice. And it's a pretty distinct, like, overall fit as well. Like, he kind of gives me Captain Falcon without fully being like, that's just a Captain Falcon guy. So, am I able to be the one after this for the sake of sleep? Yes. I think so. I'll have to make sure I know which one is you. You like the stars? The stars are nice. I'm trying to think of what to critique. It's a bit simple, which isn't a bad thing. I wish these pants are kind of confusing. Is this a boot here? Or are these like long boots? You know what I'm saying? But which is a nitpick, really. Also, I don't love, so I guess the fingers are brighter on the fingertips versus on like his wrist because you know how dark-skinned people, like their fingertips, like their palms are lighter. So I assume that's what's going on. I wish the thumb then helped convey that slightly. You know what I'm saying? But this is such a minor nitpick thing to, you know, wish the top of the thumb was that darker color then, if that is what they're going for. Yeah, it's kind of basic. I think honestly, if anything, my biggest critique is that the goggles are like a maroony, and that maroon isn't anywhere else on the design. I'd love to see that sort of maroony color palette show up in just one more location. One more. But, you know, across the board, their saturations they've got variety in saturation across the character. They feel unique. Yeah, a tough one to critique. He does look cool. Didn't one of the heroes from Big Hero 6 have a similar scheme? I don't know. I didn't watch that movie. But yeah, I think it's swell. I'd love to see more character. That's the thing. It's, yeah, in terms of critiquing this design, solid silhouette, nice use of color. I assume he'll be sitting, which means we're mostly focusing on this. But even when he stands, like, his legs don't look like they don't belong. He's a little top-heavy. I could say that. He's a bit top-heavy, but having that clear delineation distinction with his boots could, alleviate that. But even then, being clearly top-heavy isn't even a sin. Yeah, I just wish we got a little bit more of his character. Is this guy, like, sassy? Is he cool, calm, and collected? Is he a self-insert? Like, meant for you to insert into him kind of a deal? We're not getting too much character. That is the problem with flat character standing flatly so you can see their design easily, is we miss out on that nice character. But a cute little guy. I'd be excited to see what the video game is for. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of game is this? Thank you for the submission! Even though you don't actually follow me, I think. Neozy boy. I pushed you in here. Here's hoping you stick around. I appreciate you. It's a nice one. Ruth wanted to be next, correct? So let me look. There you are. Here we are. Ruthie Weber. Over on Blue Sky. Existing OC. New piece just for this. I don't normally do this type of lighting, so I wanted to test that out. Comments and anything else are also obviously appreciated. So intense lighting can be challenging because you need to make sure it's consistent. Hang on, I need water. So this part is really nice. I like that background a lot. I like, how her eyes light up. This rim lighting on the ribbons is really nice. That's the thing. In order for these heavy shadows to work, having rim lighting on the other side adds a lot. Similarly, I wish, honestly, that her face had a bit of rim lighting on it. I wish we got a little bit of rim lighting, like, right there. Basically, on the other side of where the darkest shadows would be. But that's the thing as well. If we're going to have this heavy shading, you need to push it. Because this all becomes flat. And the sword being fully illuminated, maybe it's a magic special sword. Maybe it glows in the dark. The sword being fully illuminated does end up feeling like the lighting has gone weird. Having just like this, the sword still be shaded properly, but then with, light kind of gleaming across it, that would be giving us more than just having it fully properly lit, especially since nothing else is affected by the light down here. We should be getting some rim lighting on the hilt. We should be getting some rim lighting on her knuckles. We should be getting some lighting on the handle. And also, in order to have this heavy shading really, really work, is you need to push it one more time in the most darkest areas. Okay. Gotta push that shadow even further, especially things like places like here. And we can see you've done that, under their chin, here. See, under the capey deal, this arm being in shadows. Heavy shading is really fun, but you gotta be consistent with it. Otherwise, we start to see the seams in the art. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I think you do. You're a smart cookie. I've drawn all over your piece. Let me delete all that. Alright. So, yeah. I like this color palette. The blue and red, I feel like we never get to see blue and red. You know, it's always Superman, and this doesn't feel like Superman, while still being clearly like, oh, that's blue and red. That's really nice. And I like this sort of like, well done up, but also they're a hero. Like, we've got this classy outfit under them, but then they still got this like cool capey do, which gives them a nice silhouette. I also like the either very pale or white skin. I feel like kind of unique skin tones like that can be really cool. And it's something that I struggle to incorporate a lot. So I appreciate you seeing, the value in that. So yeah, it's great. It's really swell. I really like this red background. I want to fuck around with colored backgrounds way more. Like colored skies, because it's cool. I'm really loving, like, that part. Yeah, if this was the picture, I'd be like, fucking hell yeah! Which is a shame, because clearly the sword is supposed to be such a huge part of it. Just don't be afraid to go ham with rim lighting. You can always then backtrack if you're like, this is too much. You know? But yeah, it's really solid stuff. A cute design. I really like her hair. The hair is really, really solid. You get some lighting, and you get some lighting, and you get some lighting, and you get some light. Yeah. She seems like she's about to do some cool war crimes. Very much not Superman. Yes, but she can be my Superman. Really bad at shading? I disagree. I think this shading has been, you know, this is not bad. The bits of rim lighting you do have, like, clearly show you understand what you're doing. You know? I would not say that you're bad at shading by any means. I think shading is hard. Rendering, especially with a stylized, like a very stylized art style like this, rendering things in a 3D world when your art is not, like, you didn't draw with the intention of it looking realistic, you know, 3D, that's hard. Rendering is hard. Shading is hard. And so no, I would not say you're bad at it. I just say that you can improve. That we all can. Everyone can improve. And the fact that you are trying to improve means you will. You're clearly trying, and that's the most important part. And thank you for participating. I like the white pants. White pants are cool. I should have characters wear white pants more often. Way to go, you. I appreciate your submission. Next up, we'll do Lou Rob. I don't know who you might be. In chat as well. Another quiet one. Making a Pokemon Gajinka. Gajinka. Human Pokemon. Why didn't I get a bigger picture of this? This may have been the biggest picture. Let me see if I can find a bigger picture of this. Hang on. Cause this is a little teeny weeny hard to see. Oh, give me a moment while I run back to blue sky really quick. Scroll down. Scroll down. There you are. Look at that. Look at all this detail we're missing out on. I do appreciate that they've got a superior, like the Pokemon over there in the corner, so that it's like, that's the Pokemon, a nice and easy to compare, you know? Is there any way to uninstall shading mods IRL? That has the same energy as me saying that I'm gonna cut off everyone's hands so I don't need to draw them anymore. Feel free to be honest. To be honest, I'm not getting superior right off the bat, I'll be honest. You know, if I didn't know this was supposed to be a Gajinka, I'd be like, hey, this is a cool green aesthetic, and perhaps the detailing on the vine would bring me there. It's not a leap. Like, it's not like I'm like, this looks nothing like superior, especially with this cool yellow, like, the interior of the jacket. Like, I can see it. I don't immediately jump to superior just because the silhouette is kind of nothing like superior. Is that a nitpick? Yes. In order to get that silhouette, though, you would also need to add, like, goddamn, like, bunny ears. You know, like, yeah, like how Superior's got. Don't know how you do that outside of this cool, chain deal. Jumping off of the outfit in motion, which is slick. And you know what? That's not even necessarily a terrible thing. I like Jinkas like this, that, like, really push the boundary. It's sort of like Disney bounding, rather than a one-to-one iteration of the Pokemon. I quite suck at that, as you can probably tell, by my, like, magical Pokemon designs, you know? And I think this is really slick. You know, I see Superior, and I go, hell yeah, that is Superior. But if I didn't know, I don't know if I would jump to Superior. That all being said, what a cool guy. Goddamn. What a cool fucking dude. I love the suit. I love the tie. I love the belts doing nothing. Like, it's that thing where it's like anime bullshit belts doing nothing, but because it's in moderation, you accepted that it's like, yeah, he probably... That's where he shoves all the numbers of all the girls he gets. Or boys. Because he's the most popular kid in the club, you know what I'm saying? Cool scythe as well. I can't design weapons to save my life. This isn't fair. How am I supposed to critique people who are better than me? You know, fucking Jesus. I will say, I don't love these boots. These shoes. They're slick brown shoes. They're not even bad looking. I wish they were just black. Because we got the black belt. And I feel like it'd be a nice way to tie the whole look together really nicely. You've incorporated Superior's color palette well across to the guy. Using the different shades of green and the yellow in smart ways. And also, this is so bold. The nuts on this person, on Lou. The cojones to take this bright red eye, this humongous fucking eye. The Superior's eyes are the biggest things on planet Earth. And then to hide that behind green sunglasses, when the glasses could have been the red part. To give that humongous goddamn eye look. And to hide those red eyes behind green sunglasses and make it work? Get out of here. Also, having the eyebrows be the curly doos, like Superior's collar bits. You get an F, because you're better than me. So get out of here. Yeah, it's really swell stuff. You have a clear grasp on not only character design, but anatomy, values. Yeah, I don't see why you're in my chat looking to me for advice when you're clearly above me in skill. I appreciate you sharing. Is this all done traditionally as well? I'm noticing, like, you erasing your name and stuff, or like, did you draw it traditionally then go over it digitally? Either way, really great stuff. Way to go, you. F for fantastic. Yeah, F for I'm jealous. I'll never be this good. Thank you for participating. I really do appreciate it. This is slick stuff. I really like getting to see cool Pokemon human designs. Well done. Well done, you. Whoever you are in chat. If you're even here. The penultimate person. Cupcake Demon. Hang on, I need water. Here's my persona, Cupcake here. I got the pose from boy.181_ on Pinterest. That means nothing to me. I don't know who that is. I'm not going to Pinterest. I usually have trouble with shading and line art, so feel free to give your honest review. So, similar to kind of what we talked about with Ruth, the shading is not even terrible. It's just a bit inconsistent. So, there's a lot of things that are very heavily shaded here. This arm is fully shaded, and then also, like, the titties, the whole torso is fully shaded. Not to mention all of this hair and most of the face, which all tells me that the light is coming from generally this direction. There should be some rim lighting on the hair closest to the direction of the light. You can even see a tiny bit of that. Don't be afraid to pull that out more. to pull your rim lighting out so that it's actually visible. No one's gonna zoom in as much as I just did to see these little details. Your legs are also fully shaded with a little bit of rim lighting. But then here's the problem. Everything that's white is fighting against you. The skirt is not only mostly illuminated, but these shadows imply that, you know, this is the light part, and then shadow, you know, it's shaded as it goes down. The skirt looks like it's lit from this side. And the same exact thing is happening with one horn. And the big thing is, too, I suggest if you're going to have this, like, really heavy shading across most of the character, it needs to be across all of the character. If she's gonna be this dang shaded, then most of the skirt should be in shadow. Then, like, all of this should be in shadow as well. So then it was consistent. I like heavy shading. I think it could be really dynamic and cool. So don't be afraid to keep pushing your shadows like this. Maybe pushing your values a little darker. You know, like, this isn't a very dark shadow across anything. It's not super light. I can clearly see it. But, you know, it can't hurt to allow yourself to play with pushing it even further. Instead of just this slightly darker pink, maybe go to an even darker pink. You know? Just an idea. Here's a tip. Oh, I also have nothing to really say about your line art. It is consistent, clean. You know, nothing bad about that. Consistent and clean. Trying to vary your line depth, like line density, might be a fun thing to try out. So, for example, in these shaded areas, you make it thicker, and then for lighter areas, you know, you keep it thinner like that. But I suck at doing that, so who am I to critique? Here's a tip. Here's a tip for, I'm gonna use you as an example. Okay, so, this is something I like to do a lot for capes and big hair. So we've got this big ol' swatch of hair, you know, back there. Wow, so much hair, and it's all, like, it is normally this pink, lighter pink color, but it is predominantly in shadow. So, you know, we've got this, like, kind of big pink shadow back there. What I like to do is then, at the edge, at the bottom edge, go in and, hang on, I'll turn on my BGM again, and go back in with that lighter color again. And imagine all that is behind her, you know. It just gives a little bit of light, you know, it's kind of like how we discussed with that rim lighting. Especially for big things like that, when it's all one big shaded area, it can end up feeling flat. But you may not want to add, like, more shadows. You know, you may not want, maybe you don't want to then be like, and then even more shadows, you know, to make it not be so flat and boring, because maybe that's not what you want. So instead, you know, having it come up from the bottom, a nice, soft, little, like, a faded element of your normal color can add a lot. So there you go. The only real critique is, if you're going to have so much shading, work on making it consistent. Similar to Zero, maybe watch how real shadows fall across people in order to learn. Or render your boil your character down to simple shapes in order to learn that away. Nothing wrong with doing that. This is a circle. These are two circles. That is a cylinder. This is a cylinder. you know, do that, and then shading might come easier. But I love the colors. Super cute colors. I adore them. I love horned characters, and she's a real cutie pie. She's a pink-haired character without it feeling like we have Iron Mouse at home, which I feel like is a real thing people struggle with these days. So, way to go. A unique-looking pink-haired character. A real cutie pie. And I like the heavy shading you've got going on. I'm excited for you to level up with it and have some really dynamic lighting coming in. And the final one, oh my gosh, I can't believe somehow I didn't go in any specific order. Final one is Excalibur. Hope he's still here, because I know he was here right at the beginning. Hello, hey twins, here's my submission for my OCs. My main 2 things I'd like feedback on are character design and anatomy. Anything else would also be appreciated. My drawing is physical. If that ends up changing a critique, you may or mayn't have. So, another one asking for anatomy. So, okay. Iron Mouse? I said Iron Mouse, didn't I? You know, a very popular VTuber. She's got pink hair. Left is Cadence, right is Carnelian. Nice. So, I like that they're clearly distinct. They're either mortal enemies or on a team with this, like, clear black and blue and then black and red, you know? Which is nice. It's clear that they are distinct from each other. I feel like so often you get 2 characters at the same time who are wearing basically the exact same colors. And I love her hair. These like cool braids. That's really slick stuff. Way cooler than this one's hair. I gotta be honest. Cool braids, trumps, kind of just like drills any day. In terms of anatomy, your legs are very thick compared to your arms. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It just means your arms feel a little tacked on. Making your arms slightly thicker. Just a little bit. Yeah, just at the bicep area. Could help. Or make the legs slightly thinner in the thigh area. I love these big ass feet. It's just like how we said with Mega Man. You know, Mega Man shoes is peak in terms of design. But yeah, your characters do end up feeling off-balanced because the arms are so much thinner than everything else. Because they're quite wide in the chest and torso and hip and leg area. And the heads all feel proportionate to all that. And then he's got these twiggy-wiggy little arms. You know? So, just balancing that out a little bit could add a lot. Don't feel like you gotta make, you know, extra, I mean, unless you want to, extra wide arms necessarily. It can end up with your characters feeling a little Robloxy, but just a little bit thicker might help a lot. I need water, hang on. Mega Man and Panty and Stocking was the real inspiration for me. I can see that Panty and Stocking inspiration. I can. Character design and anatomy. I will say, she's a little boring. This one's got, some real, like a real consistent shape. You know, we've got all this, like, round elements on her. And then this one, she feels a lot more, not phoned in, but, like, it feels like you didn't care as much. Hiding her in mostly a cape will probably do that. If you're gonna hide a character in a cape, I do suggest making the cape a very distinct shape. And what perhaps might actually be doing it is that, everything about her kind of just bleeds into each other. We've got these drills, which kind of falls into this cape, which kind of just falls into this pants, which falls into her legs. It's easy to just slide down her. Nothing interrupts that flow. Giving her versus, for example, we've got a circle, a circle, a circle, a circle. You're bouncing down her design, which is fun. You are prompted to bounce back up her design. This one, she's just got less interesting things to look at. Having the cape, like I said, either be a more interesting shape, but it's actually pretty not bad. Giving it a different color might help. So these are very consistent color palettes, which is nice, but sometimes, like I said, don't be afraid to pull another color. She already has quite a few colors. She's got red and black and this like maroonish. And we've got orange in her sword as well. The left side doesn't have nearly as many colors on her. She feels a lot more consistent. But she's so consistently mostly red over here without much deviation from that red. Outside of, one cape, which is then more red. If we're going to wander into more colors for her, maybe making the cape this magenta to help break things up a bit. Could be fun. incorporating her silver in more locations would actually probably be what I would suggest. Because, you know, we've got this clear blue and black hair and then a blue and black outfit. And she's got the silver hair, but then that doesn't show up anywhere else, you know? So having her silver come back again, perhaps in her belt, maybe down here, you know? That might help. But like I said, they look cute together. Having one more color on them, like if they are meant to be together. So we've got blue, and we've got red, and between those two colors is purple. But I don't want purple on them. I want green on them. I would want, if we're gonna add one more color on them, I would want it to be green. Maybe not that shade of green. But because it's analogous to the color between them. It gives them a little bit more of a pop. But I don't even necessarily know if I would want to add green. It's just if you find yourself thinking, I need another color, green might be the way to go. But, you know, that's something you might want to workshop. You know. Test it out and then be like, does this look fucking ugly? Twins, this looks ugly. I'm not gonna do it. Should have been white and gold. I like the red and black. You know, if they're gonna be a team, I like keeping the red and black. Perhaps just swapping it so that it's mostly black with red trim. Kind of like how she's mostly black with blue trim. Maybe that could have worked. Maybe that could have been nice, or maybe that would have made them blend together too much. It's the kind of thing I would want to like test out a few options. But yeah, we're clearly onto something. I think just one minor tweak is all she needs to be as poppin' as left side. By the way, I love her nails. I think she's also got long nails, but I don't know, I like her hands better. Having the silver come back in more of the design may be hard, as another character of their team is a silver/gray character, but I will definitely try. I believe in you. I do. Candace is giving me Pokemon Gym Leader vibes. But yeah, they're really fun. They feel like villains. Probably because they're serving so much cunt, you know? And especially knowing that they're Panty and Stocking. Panty and Stocking are basically villains. Like, villains who are also just happen to be the heroes. So, yeah, taking that inspiration into account. I think they're super fun, super cute. I wish her axe was bigger. I know I didn't have too many critiques with her, but I wish her axe was even bigger. But I am a sucker for big weapons. So, again, that's one you'll have to take with a bit of a grain of salt. We did it, Patrick. We saved the city. Exactly. But yeah, great stuff. I appreciate you participating. She gets a much bigger axe in the future. Well, there you go. You know, critique handled. It's like, yes, twins. Yeah, that'll happen. Okay, no, good. Thank you so much for being here. What a long stream this was for being after work. Golly molly! Nearly at 2 hours. So thanks for participating. I hope you all had fun. I hope you all, you know, enjoyed. And even if you don't agree with my critiques, even if you're like, Twins was not cooking, that's super valid. Even if you try what I suggested, you can still be like, I don't like this. And that's okay. My opinion is not the only important one. At the end of the day, it's your art. You are the artist. I can offer my thoughts and my critiques, but, you know, teachers I really respected who, you know, were university professors. I didn't always, you know, they weren't always cooking. Sometimes other people don't know what is right for you. So like I said, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed. And I hope that even if my critique wasn't on the spot, that you still learned something from being like, hey, Twins was wrong. And now I know. Now I know not to do that again in the future. Thanks for the advice, even though I couldn't keep up. We'll watch the VOD. The VOD, yes, and I'll upload the VOD to YouTube, to the VOD channel, this weekend, like how I always do. Thanks for being here. I really do appreciate seeing all your art. I love seeing all the variety we've got across you. Oh my gosh, Hut Mud Bud. Golly. 5 whole subs. Wow. So, Tahaxire, Pyra, Barry, Twisted Dude, Orion, and Overhype, and half of those people were in today's stream as well. Everyone, a final clap, clap, clap to Hutmut Butt for being a sweetie Petey. See, the Hutmut Butt is the one paying for everyone's college tuition. The sunbathing right at the end, exactly. Yeah, a way to go, you. Way to go, way to go. I appreciate it. And yeah, like I said, I do appreciate everyone participating. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be brave enough to submit my art to a critique like this. It's scary. It's got to be somebody that you really like respect, I think, and to think you all respect me enough to at least listen to me to tell you, hey, I wish their legs were longer or whatever. I do appreciate that. You're all really swell, and keep doing art, keep making. You know, you can only go up from here, and some of you are already climbing. Some of you are, I'm like, God damn, I gotta get better so that you all can actually look to me for advice. Cause if I find myself slacking, you're all gonna surpass me, and I'll be embarrassed. I plan on rewatching and redrawing Beatrice and Emmeline with your advice. I'll show you when I do. Thank you. And yeah, I don't like retweet artwork of like OCs that people send me. Sometimes people are like, here's my character, and you know, if it's not fan art, then I don't necessarily retweet it. But you know, I don't get mad seeing you post your art. So yeah, and if it really tickles your fancy, you can join the Discord through Patreon at any level. And people are very willing to share and discuss art over there. So, yeah. Got a thriving little art community, don't we? But yeah. The hype train is over. I have, in fact, surpassed 2 hours. So I should wrap up so I can relax before I go to sleep. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate Hutmut Butt the most. No. But yeah, today was fun. I'm glad you all enjoyed. You all seemed very excited about it. And it was nice to know what I was doing on a Wednesday. So yeah, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Drink your vegetables. Eat your water. I'm ending the stream now. It's happening. It's happening now.